Oh my God. Honey, come look at this. They think it's a toy. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, my kids!
911, what's your emergency?
Power lawnmowers are dangerous adult tools, not toys. But every year, 200,000 people are seriously injured in lawnmower accidents, 16,000 of them children. Injuries include severed fingers, toes, and limbs, broken bones, burns, and eye injuries, and all are preventable by following some simple safety tips. Make sure children are in the house. Pick up stones and toys to prevent flying objects. Don't allow children under 16 to operate ride-on mowers or children under 12 to use any mower. Don't allow children to be passengers on mowers. Never mow barefooted or in sandals. Always wear sturdy shoes. Don't drive backward unless absolutely necessary. And then make sure you look over your shoulder. A lawnmower is not a toy. A serious injury can happen in a matter of seconds. Don't let someone you love become a statistic.
Using a lawnmower can be as routine as bike riding or barbecues during spring and summer. But often people find themselves in terrifying situations with these seemingly safe household machines. Over 200,000 people, including 17,000 children, suffered lawnmower injuries last year. The injuries included severed toes, fingers, and limbs, burns, and eye injuries. And mower injuries were up 3% just last year. Each year, hundreds of small children are tragically injured by riding lawnmowers, which flip over or back up with the cutting blades turning. On the average of once a day, young children, typically aged 2 to 5, are backed over and catastrophically injured by the rotating blades of a riding lawnmower. Almost all of these children will suffer long-term medical complications and some of the most devastating and disabling injuries from the blade contact injuries. 99% of these children will also suffer long-term social and psychological complications. The operator of the riding lawnmower is usually a parent, grandparent, sibling, relative, or neighbor of the injured child. And the social and psychological consequences on the operator of the lawnmower, as well as the family of the riding lawnmower backover victim, are also devastating. The resulting injuries and medical complications and social and psychological consequences suffered by the victims and their families could have easily been avoided. Virtually all of these accidental injuries could have been prevented if the manufacturer of the riding lawnmower had used a simple and inexpensive no-mow in reverse safety feature. No-mow in reverse safety features prevent the riding lawnmower blades from rotating while the machine is backing up in reverse. No-mow in reverse safety features have been designed into all MTD Cub Cadet riding lawnmowers since 1983. John Deere and Toro began installing no-mow in reverse safety features in their lawnmowers in 1998. By 2001, riding lawnmowers manufactured by MTD Cub Cadet, John Deere, Toro, Snapper, and Kubota were equipped with no-mow in reverse safety features. Sears Craftsman, Husqvarna, and Murray did not equip their riding lawnmowers with no-mow in reverse safety features until approximately September 2004. In addition, every year individuals are tragically injured and even killed by foreseeable riding lawnmower rollover accidents. These accidents usually involve victims being crushed by the overturned mower. When riding mowers are used on uneven ground, they can become unstable and roll over. Virtually all of these accidents could have been prevented by a roll bar and lap restraint, and yet these rollover protection systems are not standard equipment on many mowers. Today, the Insider Exclusive presents When Lawnmowers Attack, the Ethan story, and how his lawyer, Grady Chandler, at the firm of H. Grady Chandler, got justice for Ethan and his family. Grady has earned the highest respect from citizens and lawyers alike as one of the best trial lawyers in Texas and in the nation. He has seen many innocent and hardworking people become victims of lawnmower accidents. He knows firsthand that riding lawnmower manufacturers have known these injuries were occurring for over 30 years, but failed to install no-mow and reverse safety features in their products until recently. And that was because of their basic philosophy of putting profits ahead of people's safety instead of correcting these defects. Grady continues to be driven to fight for people who have been harmed by the willful or negligent actions of others. His goals, not only to get justice for his clients, but to make sure all Americans become proactive by encouraging their elected officials and governmental agencies to legislate solutions to this problem. It's a fact that the Consumer Product Safety Commission has failed to create mandatory safety standards for riding lawnmowers. The Outdoor Power Equipment Institute, a manufacturers organization comprised of representatives of riding lawnmower manufacturers, only creates voluntary safety standards for riding lawnmowers. We can all make a difference, but we all must do something. Get proactive today.
I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive, live from Garland, Texas, at the law offices of H. Grady Chandler. It is my great privilege to introduce Grady Chandler to the show. Welcome to the show, Grady.
Thank you, Steve.
Tell our audience a little bit about the type of law that your law firm practices.
Well, since the mid-1980s, I've practiced almost exclusively personal injury trial law.
Mm-hmm.
Since about 1996, I've devoted a substantial part of my practice to representing little children that are injured in riding lawnmower accidents.
And you have on your website, you have a lot of information. Would you mind giving our audience that website so they can get information on injuries that are caused by lawnmowers?
One of the websites is ridinglawnmowerinjury.com, and another website is mowerlawyer.com.
We have the case that we're going to be talking about today concerns your client, Ethan.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about Ethan. Who is he?
One day, Dad comes home from work and needs to collect all the leaves in the yard. So he starts up the mower that has a large bin bagger attachment that goes on the rear of the mower, and literally mows the yard with this bagger attachment to collect the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's finishing mowing the yard, he's mowing along a fence in the side yard, he backs up and hears a horrible sound, because he knows he's just been where he's just mowed, so when he backs up, he can't imagine what that sound is. And when he turns off the mower to look, he sees that his son is underneath the mower.
Mm-hmm. What happened to his son?
His son suffered below-knee amputation. That's a kind way of putting it, because when children are injured in these lawnmower accidents, their body parts are literally emulsified. They are torn apart and emulsified. And the saddest stories that I hear are parents and grandparents looking for the missing foot.
Yeah.
And there is no missing foot to find. That foot has been horribly mutilated and emulsified, as I said earlier.
Now, Ethan has undergone, 15 surgical operations since that initial injury?
At least 15
Right.
surgical procedures.
And he had tremendous problems to deal with, not only physically but also psychologically, right?
Yes, Dr. Hoyle can speak more intimately about that than I can, but he's had multiple complications which are typical of blade contact injuries, because it's easy for the wounds to become contaminated by these rusty, dirty lawnmower blades.
Right. There's a lot of manufacturers of these rider lawnmowers. This happened to be a Sears Craftsman, wasn't it?
It's a Sears Craftsman mower that's made by Husqvarna.
Okay. And it did not have a safety feature, which you would like to see in all lawnmowers, which is what?
Right. It was not equipped with a no-mow and reverse safety feature. A no-mow and reverse safety feature is a feature that turns off the blades if the mower is shifted into reverse with the blades on.
Mm-hmm.
As a practical matter, this effectively prevents the child from being slaughtered by these blades.
Yeah.
If a mower backs up over a child without the blades on, that child can be injured, but statistically, they're not injured seriously. In other words, they might have an incident, maybe a broken bone, or an incident or an injury that requires them to go to the hospital, but they're not going to suffer a mutilating amputation type injury that's going to require 15 surgeries and extended hospitalizations.
Now, some manufacturers have implemented these safety procedures here, these safety devices, but they had been resistant to implementing any kind of safety features for a long time. Why is that?
It's hard to explain, but the riding lawnmower industry has fought regulation since the 1970s. In late 1977, the Consumer Product Safety Commission actually published a proposed mandatory safety standard for riding lawnmowers and for push mowers. The push mower standard was ultimately approved in 1983. After the mandatory safety standard was published by the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, a lawsuit was filed by a number of ride-on mower manufacturers and the Ride-on Mower Manufacturer Industry Association to keep that statute from becoming law.
Let's talk about your legal strategy in these cases, because you have, in essence, in America, become almost the go-to lawyer in rider lawnmower cases. What was your legal strategy to hold the manufacturer, in this case Sears Craftsman, responsible for the damage that they did to Ethan?
Well, first you have to overcome the basic assumption people make when a child is injured like this. Where are the parents, or where were the parents, or where were the grandparents?
And you address this whenever you go to trial to the jury, right?
That's correct.
Meaning, don't hold the parents responsible just because they happen to be driving it, correct? Because if there were safety devices that were implemented already, these accidents wouldn't happen, right?
Correct, correct. By not including these safety features, these critical safety features, Husqvarna, Sears, and several other manufacturers needlessly endangered little children. Some parents are not going to be as careful as others. Some parents are not going to have experience operating riding mowers.
Yeah.
And so that's how we start the case. We start the case by proving the number of incidents that have occurred since the early 70s where the Consumer Product Safety Commission recognized child backover injuries as a foreseeable, predictable hazard.
Right. Now, we have with us today some toys that they manufacture. And what is your comment about some of these toys and how they deceive, let's say, the public, or make children think that these are safe products?
Well, these are actually toys that are sold with the manufacturer's mowers. Some manufacturers literally run promotional sales where they say, if you buy this mower, you will get a free mower toy.
Right.
So it's clear that they're marketing these mowers to families, and they're not warning or informing these families of the extreme danger of allowing children into the mowing area while they're operating it.
I noticed that on that Craftsman right there, they have a sign that says, just like Dad's.
This particular Craftsman ride-on mower, you can see, is actually marketed to children 1.5 years to 3 years old. And one of the things that the child backover accident always seems to have in common, it occurs to children that are 6 years of age or younger.
Yeah. You settled the case confidentially, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
And congratulations for that. We have with us today Dr. Stephen Hoyle, who is not only a doctor but also a lawyer that, if I remember correctly, treated Ethan, as well as very familiar with a lot of the injuries children suffer as a result of these mower accidents. So we're going to bring him on right now. It's my great privilege to introduce Dr. Stephen Hoyle to the show. Welcome to the show, Doctor.
Thank you.
And I'm going to correct myself. You actually didn't treat Ethan, but you are very familiar with his injuries as well as injuries suffered by children who have been involved with the same accidents, right?
Yes, I'm an ER doctor, but I've developed an expertise in this field, having been exposed to many children that have suffered these type of injuries.
Tell us about your experience and expertise in this field.
I believe, as you mentioned earlier, I'm both a physician and an attorney, and for the last 6 or 7 years, I've worked on a number of cases wherein children have been backed over by riding lawnmowers and suffered amputation type injuries.
Right.
I've worked on these with Mr. Chandler, and my involvement with those cases is both from the legal aspect, but I have a heavy part in the medical aspect and in evaluating the injuries and helping to develop a life plan with care planners and evaluating the injuries and going through the medical records to try to determine the extent of the injuries and highlight the extent of the injuries and the challenges that the children suffer and the challenges and expenses that they may suffer in the future.
And you're of the same mind that they all could have been, the majority of them, preventable?
Absolutely.
By the way, a lot of the manufacturers now do have these no-mow in reverse safety feature, correct?
All of the manufacturers now have them.
Okay. What about retrofitting the mowers that are out there that don't have the safety feature? Is anybody doing anything there?
Not to our knowledge.
So in other words, there's thousands of mowers out there that can still cause these accidents, right?
Yes, there are. Millions of these mowers out there.
What are some of the physical and psychological challenges that children endure as a result of these accidents?
Well, there's the obvious injury. The initial injury is a horrendous injury, being backed over by a mower. And as I think that Mr. Chandler described, the rotating blades do tremendous damage to the extremity, and not only do that, but also impregnate it with dirt, grass, dirt, and they're inherently dirty and very, very likely to form infection. Mm-hmm. The physicians that care for these children on an initial basis face a challenge of trying to save limb length and reduce the amount of the amputation while still debriding the tissue that's either too damaged or too dirty to safely be maintained on the extremity.
And Ethan, when this happened, was what, 3 or 4 years old, correct?
Yes, 3 years old.
So he ended up getting a prosthesis, but as he grows, he has to constantly be refitted, doesn't he? To match the rest of his body.
Yes, absolutely. All amputees require more than one prosthesis. You know, as with time, of course, both the technology improves and the prostheses wear. Yeah. But in children, they're going through an accelerated growth phase, so they require just simply like even growing out of shoes. They require multiple prostheses, and these can happen more than once a year often. They also require prostheses for different types of activities. There's sports prostheses that can be used for swimming. Mm-hmm.
As a part of his life plan, or anybody in this kind of a situation, there is the issue of psychological care, isn't there? What are some of the psychological challenges that children like this experience?
Well, they have, of course, when they're young, these children are, and Ethan is a good example. I mean, beautiful child, very, very resilient, and despite this injury, is incredibly active and does very, very well. Nevertheless, he does have an amputation. He has to struggle at times with this prosthesis and not being able to quite keep up with the activities he would if he didn't have the prosthetic limb. Yeah. As he grows through his childhood and into puberty and into his middle school and high school years, he will face more of a challenge as far as his body image and the interaction he has with friends, girlfriends, and then on into adulthood with employment. It affects will affect his job choices, his interaction with others and with employers. And despite the fact that he is very, very intelligent and no doubt will do very, very well through life, he still will have to struggle with this issue.
I want to thank you very much, Doctor, for being on the program. You've added a lot of insight, and there's still a lot of dangers out there, but Thank you very much for being on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Grady, I've seen this time and time again. If it wasn't for trial lawyers out there fighting on behalf of people who have been injured, a lot of the safety elements and the changes that we need as a society would never happen. We wouldn't have seatbelts. We wouldn't have a variety of things. Today, every lawnmower, every rider lawnmower is got this no more in reverse safety feature, correct?
Correct.
The ones that are manufactured today. But the reason we're here to doing this show is because there are thousands, maybe even millions of rider lawnmowers out there right now that were never recalled, never retrofitted. What message do you want to send to America to change that?
Right. Well, there are in fact millions of Sears and Husqvarna lawnmowers that were manufactured prior to 2004 without any type of no more in reverse safety feature. Sears and Husqvarna made choices back in the late 70s, early 80s, and throughout the 90s not to include no more in reverse safety features on their products. They needlessly endangered and literally slaughtered hundreds of children by making those choices. Mm-hmm. And they saved millions of dollars by not including these safety features, which cost less than $10 to put on their equipment. And what we're doing today is we're holding them accountable for those choices. And we're the only persons that can hold them accountable for those choices.
I want to thank you very much for being on the program. That's the message we're going to be sending out on this show. And thank you very much for spending time with us. Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.